Trouble with the Sap. 10 years later, an oral history. It felt psychedelic. Friday marks the 10th anniversary of one of the wildest and most improbable finishes in college football history. Jalen Watts-Jackson's 38-yard return of a fumble by punter Blake O'Neal as the clock hit zeros to give number 7 Michigan State a 27-23 win at number 12 Michigan. It's certainly the craziest ending of any game I've ever done, and most people I talk to about it put it up there with the wackiest things they've ever seen, not just in college football, in anything, said Sean McDonough, who called the game for ABC and branded the play with his reaction as soon as O'Neal dropped the ball to set off a chaotic chain reaction. Whoa, he has trouble with the snap. The Athletic talked to more than a dozen people who were involved that day to put into perspective the game, the play, and a truly bitter rivalry that looks a lot different 10 years later. Mark D'Antonio was going for his 7th win in 8 tries over Michigan, entering the 2015 game. Something Michigan State coaching legends Biggie Munn and Duffy Doherty never accomplished. This started after a heartbreaking home loss to the Wolverines in 2007, D'Antonio's debut season, after which Michigan star Mike Hart joked that the Wolverines had let the little brother Spartans think they were going to win before pulling it out late. D'Antonio vowed to change things, saying of the Wolverines, "Pride comes before the fall." He fulfilled the promise, but now Michigan had Jim Harbaugh as its first-year coach to restore order after the failed tenures of Rich Rodriguez and Brady Hoke. Michigan State has one rival, Michigan. Michigan has 2, Ohio State and Michigan State. Historically, wins over Ohio State are the best wins for Michigan, while losses to Michigan State are the worst losses. At this point, Michigan State might have topped both categories. Jake Butt, Big Ten Network analyst and Michigan junior tight end in 2015. It's just that word, hatred. That's really what it is. Make no mistake about it with both rivalries. There's a max desire to win, but I always felt like with Ohio State, there was an underlying respect. Darian Harris, New York Giants Director of Player Engagement and Michigan State senior linebacker in 2015, just rooted in pure hatred, like that's just what it is. It stems back from them not wanting us in the Big Ten in the 1940s. https://nytimes.com/athletic/17/Ohio State Michigan State college football rivalry, and goes up to where we are today. Even our tagline with the Giants, "Go Big Blue," that hurts me a little bit every time. When I got out here, I hadn't worn blue in 14 years. Had not worn the color blue. Like I love fashion, and I took blue entirely out of my repertoire. Grayson Miller, Michigan State Assistant Director of Development and MSU Freshman Safety in 2015. Especially after my time at Ohio State, coaching 2 years there. Ohio State-Michigan is a national thing. It's taken on the lure of the best rivalry in sports and whatnot. There's a respect factor with it. The Michigan-MSU rivalry, I would say there's very little respect paid in either direction. So then you get to the years where Coach D really took it to their entire program. D'Antonio, the little brother stuff sort of got me, I guess. Mark D'Antonio beat Michigan 7 times in an 8-year span. Mike Carter, images. I think Hart said what a lot of Michigan people kind of felt at the time. We can't be bothered with this. We have bigger things to think about. Well, Michigan State made sure they had to think about it for quite a long time there. Tom Izzo, Michigan State men's basketball coach. I don't think Mark gets enough credit for what he did. Angelique Chengelis, Michigan beat writer for the Detroit News since 1992. Mark D'Antonio was the best thing that happened to Michigan State. He brought the right approach to that game, and if it meant more nastiness, well, so be it. This rivalry is mean. It's mean on both sides. I've really curtailed my social media use because I was sick of the meanness. It's not just Michigan State fans, it's Michigan fans too. D'Antonio, I don't think there's any doubt there's an arrogance at Michigan. They're proud of it. They're proud of that arrogance. And I don't want to paint a picture of hatred. But this goes beyond the game. When we win, they don't shake hands, they take off. That says it all. Jim Brandstatter, former Michigan radio announcer and offensive lineman. There are Michigan State people who would tell me I'm dead wrong. But it seems because Michigan has success, there's an inferiority complex on the Spartan side. I've heard, I don't care if we win another game as long as we beat Michigan. I'm sorry, but if that's your attitude, that's crazy. Harris, one thing I always loved about Coach D'Antonio is he was open and honest about how big this game was. We weren't going to do the every game is the same thing going into Michigan. But also, we expected success. We had won 3 of 4 against them in my time in the program. We had won the Big Ten and Rose Bowl in 2013. This had championship implications, and we knew if we wanted to go to Indy and the Big Ten title game, we had to win this game. Brandstatter, with what Harbaugh had done in a very short time, breathing life into the program, I think every Michigan fan believed we were a good enough team to compete with them. Chris Wormley, Michigan junior defensive end in 2015. He changed the culture completely. We got our asses kicked in this game, really, in 2013 and 2014. So we just knew we had to change that. When the Michigan State buses arrived at the stadium, D'Antonio told his players to take 10 seconds to silently clear their minds. 10 seconds showed on the game clock when Harbaugh, who declined comment through a Los Angeles Chargers spokesman, called a timeout. His team was up 23-21 and punting from the MSU 47. Michigan was going to win despite being outgained 386-230. Largely because of special teams. 7 O'Neal punts, averaging 44.6 yards per punt, 3 Kenny Allen field goals, and Jabril Peppers returns of 49 and 34 yards. We absolutely murdered those guys, says Fresno State special teams coach John Baxter, who was Michigan's special teams coach in 2015. ABC cameras found Michigan legend Desmond Howard on the Michigan sideline, his smile and thumbs up representing the feeling in Michigan Stadium. Chris Baldwin, Michigan student in 2015. The vibes were good, right? It was a combination of celebration and relief in the student section. But, wow, we finally beat our rival. We were already thinking that. Because why wouldn't you? It was over. It was my buddy and teammate Ben Gedeon's birthday. His parents had decorated our house. We were gonna have a huge celebration. On the sidelines, it was, man, we beat our rival. We're going into the bye week. We're gonna celebrate Ben's birthday. How awesome is all of this? Izzo. Son. Steven and I were on the field the whole time. That's better than going in the stands at Michigan. I just get the whole time. So it looked like we were gonna lose, and I said, let's get up the tunnel, because they close it with 30 seconds left. We were gone. D'Antonio. I don't really know why Michigan called timeout with 10 seconds to go, rather than just taking a delay and punting the ball. But in that timeout, I told special teams coach Mark Snyder, hey, take the returner out, put 11 guys on the line, and let's go. Baxter. Blake was standing 16 yards deep. Normally, we stand 15. Just buys you a yard. Harbaugh says to me, we all right out there? And I say, yeah, all we have to do is catch it and punt it. But we have to catch it. How prophetic is that? Harris. We got the stop on 3rd down, and I came off and dapped up safety R.J. Williamson, who was out with an injury. I'll never forget, he looked at me and smiled and said, we're gonna win this football game. I said, yeah, I know. That's not hyperbole, not some fictional story. And then you turn around, and you're kind of watching a movie from close up. That's what it felt like. Watts Jackson, a redshirt freshman safety in 2015. What I remember going on the field for the punt was the feeling of just disappointment. You couldn't tell us we weren't better than Michigan. My main thing was I got to go out here and do my job. I did not want to be the guy in the film room on the last play who half-assed it and is being called out in front of everyone. You know film is just going to be different when you lose the Michigan game. Garrett Brenningstool, MSU men's basketball GM, who was a football operations intern in 2015. I'm just standing on the sideline, thinking to myself, we're gonna have to hear about nothing but Jim Harbaugh for the next year. Effney. Chengelis. I just remember being done with my story, looking up and seeing Desmond beaming on the sideline. Everybody's happy. Michigan's finally going to do this and beat Michigan State. And then, the Michigan State Rangers punt block unit took the field after a flurry of instructions from Snyder on how to attack the play. MSU had never even practiced sending all 11 before. I didn't even realize all the changes Snyder made until I read the book a year later, D'Antonio says of the 2016 book about the game, The Perfect 10. Watts Jackson, Miller, Monty Madaris, Kari Willis, TJ Harrell, Zach Lineback, Andrew Dowell, Matt Maxud, Matt Morrissey, Brandon Sowards, and Jermaine Edmondson made up the unit. O'Neal, who did not respond to an interview request, waited for the snap from Scott Sipniewski. Madaris missed the instructions and went with one of Michigan's gunners. The other 10 rushed after Lineback used the pre-snap seconds to scream at Sipniewski that he was about to go down in history for the wrong reason. Baxter, the front had some free rushers on our left, but we were going to roll to the right, take 2 steps and punt it, which is what we did every single time. Had they overloaded the right side, we would have brought the gunners in. They overloaded the left side, which is really dumb. But I remember thinking, man, that's a lot of white jerseys. But it didn't matter. It's literally mathematical. If everyone does their job, you're going to beat the rush with your operation. Baxter. The snap was a little low, knee level, but there was really nothing wrong with it. It just hit the heel of Blake's hands and he dropped it. And then he could have just fallen on it and killed the play. But it was panic, and nothing good happens in panic. He tries to pick the ball up, and as he's spinning around, it goes right into the hands of number 20. I don't know his name, and I don't need to know his name. D'Antonio, Grayson and Matt Morrissey, sons of Michigan State football legends, hit the punter back-to-back. And ball goes right to Jalen. Watts Jackson. It just floats in the air to me. The first thing I think is, damn, okay, we've got to get out of bounds. Wormley, you're waiting to hear the ball go off his foot. Instead, you hear the crowd kind of make a gasping sound. But when you're in the shield, protecting the punter, that's how you know when to go down and run in coverage, hearing that thump off the punter's foot. I don't hear it. I hear the crowd react, and then it was like slow motion. I turn, I see the ball bounce into his hands, and I went into pursuit mode. Izzo, you're hearing all these oohs and ahs and wondering what's going on. Brinningstool. As the Harris coaches are yelling for him to get down, but I'm going, shoot, go score. Watts Jackson. It just kind of opened up. There's one Michigan guy in front of me, and it's like, I can score. Michigan State safety Jalen Watts Jackson scored one of the most iconic touchdowns in college football history. Christian Peterson Getty Images. D'Antonio. Jermaine got a big block, but Jake Butt made a great effort to track Jalen down. But Wayne Lyons made him cut back briefly, and that gave me a chance to hit him. I knew when I made contact, it was going to be about the 3-yard line. So if I just tackled him, he would be in the end zone. So I tried to punch the ball out. I did move it. There was some movement there. Just not enough. Watts Jackson. Hell of a takedown by him after running like a 4.3. As we both fall, my left knee is out, and we both fall on my knee. As physics works, it had to go somewhere. It pushed itself up and popped my hip out. Never felt pain like that before or since. D'Antonio, it was all a little bit crazy. But it didn't feel real. I couldn't grasp it. It felt psychedelic. It was almost total silence in the stadium. Wormley, pure shock and disbelief. Miller, I just remember everyone running around and screaming random things. Nothing coherent. A lot of expletives and oh my god. Over and over again. Baxter, literally, a perfect storm. That's what the play should be called. The perfect storm. Chengelis, I just remember laughing. I looked at Detroit News columnist Bob Wojnowski and said, what just happened? And then I started laughing. I had to totally rewrite my story. McDonough, I always tell aspiring play-by-play people, your call should match the moment, the magnitude of the moment. In real time on that call, I was kind of embarrassed. Oh my gosh, my voice is cracking like I'm a 12-year-old going through puberty. But in hindsight, that helped people remember it. Brandstatter, I felt like Jack Buck calling that Kirk Gibson home run in the 1988 World Series. I don't believe what I just saw. I think I said something like that. George Blaha, NSU football play-by-play announcer, since 1971. You've got milliseconds to get the facts right and get them on the air, and everybody in our booth is screaming, my wife included. Spartan Sports Network VP, Wendy Hart included. And of course, color commentator, Jason Strayhorn. So it was bedlam. McDonough, our spotter Zach Ripatrazon, was all over it. He was pointing at the chart so emphatically that I knew Watts Jackson was the guy with the ball. You really don't want to get that wrong. One thing I learned from watching and reading about Vin Scully is that once the moment happens, stop talking. There's nothing we can say better than the pictures and the natural sound. And I'm so proud of our crew in that moment. We got so many incredible shots, especially the one of the Michigan fan with the perfect look of being stunned on his face. Baldwin, I really don't remember putting my hands on my head or having that look on my face. But that whole moment was kind of a blur. Izzo, until the day I die, because TV showed it over and over and forever, I'll never forget the Michigan kid sitting there with his mouth open. Not pissed off. Not what the F. It was just, huh? Baldwin.